Thank you very much. Once again, thank you everyone for supporting the pitch teams who have just presented the ideas. The ballots you just turned in, along with our judges' score sheets, will determine the winners tonight. These winners will present again in April. Hosting Pitch Night is one of the ways CoCoon encourages and supports our entrepreneurs. As Malcolm Gladwell once said, innovation, the heart of the knowledge economy, is fundamentally social. This is why at CoCoon, we are all about connecting people and the community, because we believe people drive changes and you are the innovators. So thank you again for being here, and do stay here and share your thoughts and ideas with each other tonight. In the spirit of constant improvement, we would like to invite all of you to share your thoughts and responses on Twitter using our hashtag CoCoonPitch before, during, or after each Pitch Night event. This will help extend our conversations about entrepreneurship and startup related ideas between our monthly Pitch Nights. Without further ado, let me invite our judges, Allison and Selina, to join me on stage. Let's put our hands together for them. We have about 15 minutes, and we hope that these two successful contributors to the entrepreneurship community and everyone in the audience can share their responses to what they've just heard and offer some insights into startups. If you have comments or questions for our judges, please raise your hand so that the MCs can bring the microphone to you. And if you could state your name, that would be great. So let me just kick off with a general question for Allison and Selina. So after hearing all these presenters, were there any ideas or approaches that impressed you? Any pointers for them or for all of us entrepreneurs? Maybe Selina, we could start first.
First of all, I have to say it is not very easy to put an idea that you feel very passionate about in a short time of just 5 minutes. I mean, my hat goes off to all the presenters because you guys have done a fantastic job. It's very difficult to separate your zeal and a business presentation. So I think you guys have done really, really well, especially in a room as cold as this. It's amazing that your legs weren't shaking, because I'm shaking this. It's really
everyone cold. Stays awake.
Yeah, so I think the presenters have done really, 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 really well, and I was very impressed.
Thank you. So Allison, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I thought the presentations were very well done. Hard to fit everything into 5 minutes, and hard to answer questions when there's so much you don't know when you haven't launched something. So I think I really, really respect you guys.
Thank you for your comments. So let's go back to the topic of tonight. So why should corporations support startups? Once again, I think both ladies on stage tonight, they have like very impressive backgrounds working with big corporations. Allison with Goldman, and Selina with Fidelity, and also Citibank. But now both of you are in companies that require you to work with small companies or even entrepreneurs. So I have a question for you. Based on your experience, what are some of the best practices you recommend other corporations to take up in helping the startup ecosystem?
Yeah, I think there are 3 main ways that established corporations can help. One is resources, 2 is education, and 3 is exits. So I think there's a lot of innovation happening, and one of the big criticisms of startups in Hong Kong is that a lot of times there aren't clear exits. And at the same time, you've got big corporations that are having difficulty innovating because of cultural issues, there's management problems. So I think looking to startups as a way of outsourcing innovation and potentially, acquiring startups and providing them with opportunities that way, I think is a good way.
How about Selina? Any thoughts?
I think for corporations to actually work with startups, one of the best practices would be to see a lot more startups, because as corporations we are so indulged in the things that we have to do. We have targets to meet. It's very hard to pull yourself out. Secondly, I think the culture within a large corp has to be such that it really fosters entrepreneurship. Because if it doesn't, if the senior management team doesn't do it, then there's no reason for any of the more junior people to do it. I also think the corporation can do something, but not only as a corporation, but the senior executives can come outside of their immediate working environment and help people in their startup. So you know the saying, when someone asks for a donation, people might say, I already gave at the office. Well, with working with startups, you can't say I already worked with startup at the office and not work with startups outside. I think the ability and the spirit to want to work with startup has to be all well-rounded. It's not just because I work for a large corp or a small company. It has to be the mindset that is in you all the time.
Understood. But then again, I believe a lot of the big corporations, they have a lot of KPIs that they achieve, and they don't really have that much time. And very few companies like yours, you have time to come join us at CoCoon Pitch Night. How do you think you would be able to get more corporations to come out here to listen to some of our pitches?
Actually, I don't think this is a task that I'm doing. In fact, I'm here to copy and steal ideas from all of you.
Thank you very much.
Because exactly to the point, because we are in what we do every day, day in and day out, it becomes too routine. If you allow it to become your routine, it will be your routine. And for me, I love working with young people. I love working with people with crazy ideas. And my fear is that they don't go far enough and give me crazy ideas. I just want them to go all out and then wait for me to go, are you crazy, rein back in, instead of kicking them once and they move one little step. And when I hear ideas, I may not completely take the entire idea because it might not be applicable to my company, but having heard many ideas, and with the experiences some of the people in the team have, new ideas will spark out. And that's where I get that sort of the explosion in my brain about new ideas, because it's amazing. Even if you listen to little kids, sometimes they'll say things that really sparks you and think, why can't we do that as adults? So I absolutely don't see this as a task. I see this as a major learning session for me.
Thank you very much, Ad. I'm sure we've learned a lot from the presenters tonight, and also part of what you've just shared. I've asked quite a few questions. I'd like to kind of open it up to the floor. Anyone would like to ask our judges? Our members would pass a mic to you. Just raise your hand. Oh, one far in the back.
Hi, I'm Chris, CoCoonian. One question for you. To help, one thing I think the startups need, I fall into I like when you say young people with mad ideas. I don't think I fall into the young category, but I've got the mad ideas. Should I be older and wiser? I don't know. The one thing I think we need in the community is mentors, good mentors to help us.
Mentors.
Coming from all areas. So one thing that the large corporates could do is probably look at that and say, can we get people out there that can help on a practical level? So things that we've been struggling with is how do we value our business? How should we be, when we're pitching to investors, what sort of numbers we should put on it? Because we're great at the ideas, we're great at making stuff, but we're really sort of hard at doing the accounting stuff. So how can we encourage the mentors to come into the sector?
So any advice in getting good mentors?
I think, I'm not sure corporations today are very aware that mentors are needed. We talk about CSR, there are lots of companies looking at CSRs and green efforts, but hand on heart, I haven't really seen a lot of companies volunteering themselves or the senior execs to come out to be mentors. Now, for a lot of the senior people in large organizations, people who have sort of done the dirty work, they've done all the work that they've done to get to where they are, some of those people would like to groom the next second or third generation, because for me personally, my joy is really looking at a young person, and if I say to them, I might have a small team, and if I say, you know what, these guys are keen to learn, and so what I would say to them is, if you have a brain, if you have a pair of hands, a pair of legs, and you have the heart, you have the passion, and you want to learn and can take constructive feedback, come. then these youngsters are, they're really, really happy. So we need maybe more sort of senior executives, or maybe for the CoCoonians to go to different corps and tell them about this organization and ask for mentorship. I don't think it's that difficult for them to say yes. I think maybe it's an awareness issue that they don't know that there is a pool of talent out here who's very hungry.
So you think it should be down to us to knock on a few more doors and ask, take that initiative?
Yeah, I think you guys should. Why not?
Allison, have you any
Yeah,
thoughts?
I think don't be afraid to reach out and ask. I've only been in Hong Kong for 1.5 years, but I moved here from New York, and the thing that really struck me about Hong Kong, the thing that I think is so special here, is that other people I've emailed completely cold and asked out to coffee, just saying, I'd love to learn from you, I really admire what you've done. Pretty much every single person has said yes, and I think that's what makes being an entrepreneur in Hong Kong really special. So I would recommend that.
So I guess on this note, it's about having that initiative to go ask and not to be afraid of people saying no, because you know what? Who knows if someone's willing to help you? I'd love to actually ask both ladies a few more questions, but since we kind of started a little late, there's one question. I think. What person really want to hand up? Okay, one last question before we end the session.
Sorry for today the time. Just one question to judges. Well, as we understand it, I deeply appreciate the CSR effort of HKBN, and I hope everyone of us can benefit from it. But we understand that startup, after all, is about business, right? So as a small startup, when it comes to these kind of big companies, big corporations, you would talk about, okay, business to business. Pay me this, and I will give this to you. So what are the advice from the judges that how can we actually enhance the bargaining power when we have to approach these kind of big companies, asking for some better services or things a better rate or with a good discount? Yeah, thank you.
So basically, like, how do we ask companies for help? Because it's a world, we're in the world of business, and you give something, you take something. So any thoughts about how you may, from your own experience, how do you ask for help so people are willing to provide help? Without taking too big a bite. Without taking too big a bite.
I think part of it is doing your due diligence on a company and its structure and how the people within the company are incentivized. So if you can figure out who's the right person to talk to and what matters to them, and then figure out how you can offer them something of value. It might take a little digging, but I think that's always a really effective tactic in kind of breaking through the door. They'll be, I'm sure, impressed that you did your homework at least. So.
Yeah, I think so. In a lot of the companies that I've worked for, there's always talk about needing new products. There's always talk about needing new products. So. And where do the product ideas come from? And if you're looking at the same pool of people that have to bring the target numbers and do all the admin work and get everything done to meet the yearly goals, product ideas are often, you have to sit down quietly, spend quiet time to come up with them, right? So I see this particular group as the name is well chosen, CoCoon, of ideas, think tank, right? Of all the ideas here, there's got to be 1 or 5 or 10 that a company might find use for. But if you keep it hidden, if you don't go out and you don't turn over the rocks, you'll never find anything that's underneath it. So I agree with Allison, go find companies that are known to be entrepreneurial, who fosters and support entrepreneurship spirit, and then start there. I guarantee you a good product has a well-beaten path, and people will come and find you. And if people feel that you have a good product and you're passionate about it, and you're not just in there doing the product for money, but you really have a vision, people can feel it. And when you go see them, they might be very cool and sort of removed, but deep down they could be sort of boiling. And when they bring you back, that's when you know you have a good idea. So one time, if they don't respond to you, it might be for whatever reason, but I think I would just say keep going, because you never know. In the business world, it's so dynamic. Your product may not work for them today, but tomorrow, all of a sudden, there's a need. And if you just say, oh, it didn't work yesterday, and say goodbye to that, you've lost a tremendous chance. I just think, have a very thick skin, go in again and again and again, because that one day will come.
Thick skin, again and again. Very, very good words to end our sharing session. Thank you very much, both the judges. Thank you very much for all of you, your time, and also your votes.